Why do Americans seem so comfortable being themselves? Why do they speak their minds so openly, even when others disagree? Why do they dress differently, think differently, and live differently without worrying too much about judgment? In many cultures, people constantly ask themselves, "What will others think of me?" But in America, that question often sounds very different. Instead of worrying about others' opinions, many Americans ask, "Am I being true to myself?" So why is that? Why do Americans care less about what other people think of them? The answer goes much deeper than confidence. It's rooted in history, education, culture, and a very different way of defining personal value. A culture built on individualism. To understand Americans, we first need to understand one core idea: individualism. American society was built on the belief that every person is an individual first, not just a member of a group. From the very beginning, the country was founded on ideas like personal freedom, self-determination, independence. The message was clear: you are responsible for your own life. This mindset shaped everything, from politics to education to everyday behavior. When people grow up believing that their life choices belong to them, they naturally become less dependent on approval from others. Childhood, be yourself. American children hear certain phrases over and over again. Be yourself. Don't worry about what others think. Your opinion matters. At school, children are encouraged to share their ideas, express disagreement, ask questions, stand out, not blend in. Even when a child's opinion is unpopular, they're often praised for speaking up. This teaches kids something powerful at an early age. Your voice has value, even if others disagree. Over time, this builds a strong internal sense of self, one that doesn't rely heavily on external validation. Opinions are not personal attacks. In many cultures, criticism feels personal. Disagreement can feel like rejection. But in American culture, people often separate opinions from personal worth. If someone disagrees with you, it doesn't automatically mean they dislike you. You are wrong as a person. You should feel ashamed. It simply means they have a different perspective. This mental separation allows Americans to hear criticism without internalizing it. Someone can say, "I disagree with you," and the response is often, "That's okay." Direct communication normalizes judgment. Americans grow up in environments where direct feedback is normal. Students are openly graded. Employees receive performance reviews. Ideas are debated publicly. Because feedback is constant and expected, people become emotionally resilient to it. Being judged is not shocking. It's part of everyday life. When judgment becomes normal, it loses its power. Failure is not shameful. One of the biggest reasons Americans care less about others' opinions is their relationship with failure. In American culture, failure is seen as experience. Mistakes are part of growth. Trying and failing is better than not trying at all. People who fail are often admired for taking risks. So when failure isn't shameful, public judgment loses its threat. If failing doesn't destroy your value, why fear people's opinions? You don't need to be liked by everyone. There's a common American belief: you can't please everyone. And instead of seeing that as negative, many Americans see it as freeing. They understand that different people want different things. Disagreement is unavoidable. Being authentic means some people won't like you. Trying to be liked by everyone is seen as unrealistic and even dishonest. So rather than adjusting themselves to fit others' expectations, many Americans choose authenticity over approval. SEL fourth comes from within. Perhaps the most important reason Americans care Less about what others think is how they define self-worth. Self-worth is often based on personal goals, achievements, effort, values, not on social approval, gossip, public opinion. When your value comes from inside, outside opinions lose their control over you. Privacy and personal boundaries. American culture places strong emphasis on personal boundaries. People believe your life choices are your business. Others don't have the right to interfere. Advice is optional, not mandatory. This reinforces the idea that external opinions are just that, opinions. They don't require obedience. Confidence is learned, not inborn. Americans are often seen as confident, even at a young age. But this confidence is not genetic. It's learned through encouragement, independence, trial and error, permission to fail. People learn to trust themselves. And when you trust yourself, you naturally care less about external judgment, social media, and modern pressure. Interestingly, even Americans are starting to feel more pressure today. Social media has increased comparison. Online judgment is louder and more visible. But the cultural foundation still remains. You don't need universal approval to live a meaningful life. Many Americans actively remind themselves to disconnect from opinions that don't serve them. What this doesn't mean. Caring less about others' opinions does not mean being rude, being selfish, ignoring feedback, lacking empathy. Americans still care about respect and consequences. They simply don't let opinions define who they are. Why this feels shocking to others. For people from more collectivist cultures, this mindset can feel cold, arrogant, overly individualistic. But from the American perspective, it's about psychological freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to fail. Freedom to be different. So why do Americans care less about what others think of them? Because they were taught that their life belongs to them. Their value doesn't depend on approval. Disagreement is normal. Authenticity matters more than acceptance. You cannot live your life using someone else's expectations. And once you truly believe that, other people's opinions become lighter, and your own voice becomes stronger.